Unsung Heroes, episode 7. Today, Mike is going to give us some tips and tricks that you may never have heard about from Powershell. You might use Powershell today, but you're going to see some things that you haven't seen before today. So why don't you take it away, Mike?
Hey, Matt, thanks for introducing us again. And hey, Nils, long time no see again.
Yes, hey, Mike, it's been another 2 weeks, and it's sort of strange and weird, but good to be just the two of us again, because we've had our 2 guests on so far. So excited to be just the 2 of us again.
Yeah, it feels kind of lonely and weird indeed, but I do have to stress the guests that we had so far were awesome, and we got really good replies on that. So I hope we can have more guests like this, but also how should I put it, the down-to-earth stuff that we're trying to do here. It's a little bit back to the roots. So yeah. So how were you 2 weeks for the last 2 weeks?
My 2 weeks have been good. Here in San Jose, I've been spared of some of the Seattle heat wave. So we only hit 80 Fahrenheit, 30 Celsius, and we didn't go up to the 100. So I count myself lucky.
For San Jose, that's not bad.
No, it's good. It's good. We'll get to the hundreds in the summer. Don't worry. But what's keeping you busy?
Apparently, the entire West Coast has been like struggling with the heat. I mean, even Canada apparently for some reason. It's amazing. Yeah, my 2 weeks have been good. I mean, fully vaccinated, as you know. Didn't get too sick about it, and yeah, been to the office for the first time in a long time, and did a TV show on the evening. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I've a lot of cool stories to tell even on business, but I'm not going to bore people with that. So maybe we should just dive into the subject of the day, right?
Yes. Why don't you dive in? Because you have an unsung hero for us prepared today.
Yeah. So it's an unsung hero, but actually it gets a little bit of vocality anyway. I mean, Powershell is nothing which is really, really unsung, but I still believe that a lot of people don't know the full power of Powershell, because Powershell is more than just Powershell. We have it everywhere, and that's basically kind of the story that I want to tell, and also show you a little bit about the tools and the integrations that we have on several levels into several other things that you probably have never seen. Sorry, there's a fly in front of my camera, it's like a blind spot. So there's probably things that you've never seen or didn't know that you could do those. So let's dive in, I would say.
Sure.
All right, and since we're live, hi, Mom. So I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to do that. Go. So let me first try to share my screen. Where's that thing? Ah, here it is. Share my screen. And here we go. Screen 2. And it should be, of course, I need to press the button. Yeah, you should be seeing my screen right now, or it's coming up any second. There we go. So every journey, of course, starts with the Azure portal, right? And you would say, why? We're going to do a shell. Why do we want to start in the portal? Well, the easiest way of finding the Powershell is actually in the Azure portal. There's this little PowerShell-esque thing in the right-hand corner. It's actually a prompt that you can see. Looks a little bit like the PowerShell logo, indeed. And if you click that, you will actually get a lower bar or a lower screen field, which you can make bigger. Just make it. Let's wait for a couple of seconds until it's fully loaded. Should be fully loading.
That is just when you do live demos. But I heard you say PowerShell earlier, Mike. But I saw Bash there earlier. So do we have a choice between PowerShell and Bash?
Yeah, so that's indeed the first thing that a lot of people don't realize, is that they can have a choice between PowerShell and Bash. Now, by default, it starts where you ended up last. Now the mouse grabs it, so you can easily switch between both of the environments just by choosing your environment. So that's the first thing that you have. Now, there's a couple of more things, and once this is loaded, I can actually show you, but I need to wait for it. Ah, come on, my mouse is actually trailing with it. Okay, leave it alone. God. So you can turn it back off again. And actually, the Cloud Shell is nothing more than a container that you're running in your own little hemisphere of Azure. It has a couple of features that you can use from Azure. And the first thing that, if you never used Cloud Shell before, the first thing that it will ask you is, where do you want to store your storage account?
Yeah.
Because you need actually storage to persist some of the files that you're going to use in the Azure Cloud Shell. So this is really one of the things that you can use immediately. It will hook up into a kind of a file share where you can just play around with your files, and you can use that as your little vault where you can have your scripts that you want to run or whatever you have. Now, since this is not loading into the portal, let me try this and switch to the bash. Maybe that will work. Yeah, now it was finally loading. Yeah, live demos is always a drag.
Don't worry,
that
it happens.
You know what? I'm just now it's finally doing something. Cancel. I'm gonna keep this. Yeah. Was gonna switch to, because I'm using the Microsoft Preview portal.
Yeah.
Could be that it's that. You know what? I'm just gonna go to the normal public portal that everybody can use. Yeah, probably somebody wants me to do a bug report. I don't know whether you noticed, but I'm running something new here. See the rounded sides? I'm running 11.
You are running 11. Maybe that's why you're facing those issues, Mike.
It could be. It could be. You know, dog fooding is always until somebody. So I'm running portal. And if not, I can just demonstrate you the effects of the port of the Cloud Shell in another way too. So come on. There. Requesting a Cloud Shell. It's going for bash. You have the choice Powershell or bash, and of course you can run Powershell in bash because you know Powershell is omnipresent now. We can run it anywhere. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger.
Could you zoom in a little, Mike, because it's a little small on the screen?
Yeah, I was about to make it a little bit bigger, but the response is kind of bad. Okay, there we go. Better? Yeah, okay, that should be working. So everything, it's, as I said, it's bash.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. It's still responding. Okay, so it's just bash. You can just do an ls, and as you can see, immediately when you hook up your Cloud Shell, you get a folder called Cloud Drive, and this is where your all your files can land. So if I just do Cloud Drive, you will see that I can actually navigate through all these different drives. I can do a CD. I can do a make dir. I can create new folders, and as you can see here, I have a lot of files here. You even have the Linux coloring in there, so it actually responds like a real shell, hence why we call it Cloud Shell, right? Now, first is
question, Mike, here with this Cloud Drive. If I'm part of an organization, is this drive shared with all people in the organization, or is it specific to a person or a group?
It's specifically to you. So you have that storage specifically, but you can even mount, if you want to, some additional files that you can share with others. So now the cool thing about the integration in the portal is that you see all these buttons here. You can have some settings here. You can set the font size. I can even set the font size here a little bit larger, but I'd rather do a Control+ on my browser. Typically that's faster, but as you can see, I can also change the font. No glyphs, no ligatures, sorry, for those who want to have a power line. It's kind of hard to do. You even have a help file here. You can restart it here. Now the cooler stuff is that you can actually create a new session from here out, and you can even upload and download files. So what if you have some scripts that you have on your PC and you really want them inside of your Cloud Drive? You can actually do an upload and a download, and they will be put into the folder of designation. Now, you also have a web preview, and this you can configure to do some validation of portings, and that way you can actually go to that specific port and connect to that. So that's also pretty nice, and you can open and browse to that port, and then you can start doing like testing on these things. Pretty neat stuff. But the cool thing about Cloud Shell is that it also has some integration that we know from our PCs. It has a lightweight Visual Studio Code in there. So if I do something like this, it will actually give me a file explorer, and you can actually also open this with this little like JSON-esque annotation button here. It will just open up a Visual Studio Code, so that way you don't have to worry about VI or Vim. I mean, I'm the biggest klutz around with VI and Vim, because I always keep forgetting the colon QW code to exit my files. I always have to look it up. But this will actually help me, because I can just start typing away, just highlight a file and it will open it, as you can see. So I can just type in there. I can actually do some suggestions if you have them. If it's HTML, it will actually go in there and can say, I don't want to save changes. So it will actually save your files also in the same way. So no more fooling around with VI commands. But yes, you can run VI in there if you want to too. So if you want to be like sadomasochistic on yourself, go ahead, knock yourself.
I put it in a more positive light, Mike. If you have muscle memory for VI, use VI.
Use VI, yeah, sure. But I'm a klutz, so
yes,
I'd rather use this stuff.
I agree.
So, and this really actually, as you can see, it also has IntelliSense like in Visual Studio Code. So VI is cool, but it doesn't have the IntelliSense part. So there's something to say for all of them, and you even have the coloring codes and stuff like that. So it uses the Visual Code IntelliSense APIs, so that way you can immediately use some minor coding skills in there. It's not the best editor in the world. It's a really slimmed down code version, but it's there. And don't forget, actually, Visual Studio Code was born in Azure. For those who don't realize it, but Project Monaco was a part of something else, and it's still in there, and hence why we were able to host it. You can even still host it yourself if you want to. So you can do that. And then you can say, I want to save this file, I want to close this editor, I have a command palette that I can use, and I can just do like in Visual Studio Code, I can just do commands in there and then just start using those too. So there's a little bit to say for about anything. Now, it doesn't stop there when we talk about tools. So if I just close this again, I don't want to save this. Well, if I close this again, I actually have a plethora of tools available. So I can just do here Cloud Drive -H, which allows me to set my storage in a different way. I can mount these files, so we can actually work with another shared environment if you want to. You can fix your disk, which then points it back to the home directory. Sometimes that happens, especially in the early days. You had to do this because it became corrupt for some reason. It's a long time fixed, but that was a useful tool to help you fix those issues. And then you can switch between all these different things. There's also the tight integration of this one, because we have the Azure CLI. Managing Azure from within the Azure Cloud Shell is actually the best thing that you can do, because you're immediately authenticated. You can change your change your subscriptions if you want to. So all these things work like anywhere else. The only thing that doesn't work, and it's funny because there's also this little tool called Docker, which works. You can run Docker, but if you try to do something like Docker pull hello world latest, for instance, it will say cannot connect to the Docker daemon. So for the love of God, I cannot figure out why they put in the Docker tooling in there, since it doesn't work. But
I think I want to say two things here, Mike. The first thing, something you said earlier and that you glanced over that is super important, is you are immediately logged in. So as you are logged into the Azure portal and you open the Cloud Shell, no need to log in again. Your credentials just permeate through, and that's super nice. Second thing about that Docker thing, it's good that the tool is installed, because you can't run Docker locally, but you could still connect to a remote Docker server and then use those commands and use a remote execution environment. But I agree with you, it would be even more awesome if I could do Docker pull, Docker build, all from my Cloud Shell. But
especially Docker pull, because sometimes you just want to push in a clean image inside of your own ACR, that would be very useful, because then you can just use a cloud instead of pushing it first to your PC and then pushing it back up again. Here, it immediately would be enabling inside of the Azure environment. You could just use it. So yeah, but it's a thing. I mean, it's funny. And there's other tools too. There's like Terraform involved here. And the thing is, voila, here you can see you can just run any kind of Terraform command. You can even run Git, fully supported, because you can just then use Git to pull the latest versions of your scripts. For instance, you want to use an AZ script that you share with your environment, just push in a Git command and work with that one. And then in combination with the code editor, you can just start pulling away. There's also support for Puppet, if I'm not mistaken. That should be still in there. Oh, no, not anymore. Yeah, Puppet help. Yeah, still. I thought it would work without, but yeah, okay. So Puppet, still works, and even Chef, if I'm not mistaken, should also still be there. Yeah. So all the CI/CD, all the configuration drift toolings. Help me. I cannot think of the name.
You got Ansible, configuration management.
Yeah, configuration management tools. Couldn't think of the title. Yeah, so you can actually run most of these. Ansible, I think it's there too. Yeah, it's also there. So most of the CDS management tools are there. So desired state configuration, DSC, that's the one that I was looking for. Desired state configuration tools are there. So you can actually do that. You can even do PW, and you can start running PowerShell, of course. Now, the beauty of it is that it's also immediately, as you can see, it's authenticating to Azure, and it's using all these commands in the back. So you can actually start building it up. And normally, if I do a help here, you will actually see all the topics for the Cloud Shell itself. Let me make this a little bit smaller, because then way I can actually push them all in. Shouldn't have done that. All right, live demos, it's always fun. Yeah, so you can actually see there's a lot of pages with a lot of information, and you have some the AZ commands that you have, and so on and so on. So really, really powerful when it does from there. But now I told you what tools there are in there as a code editor, but did you know that there's a tight integration with other platforms and just of the portal? So we have this natively also. So we have the Azure Cloud Shell, no, not this one, yeah, this one, as a shell alone. No, this is the other portal. This one loaded apparently. Okay, let's not go there. But we also have shell.azure.com, which is the immediate entry point for Cloud Shell. So you just will not load the full portal. You only will load that lower part of the shell with all the features enabled, like you see in the portal itself. So I'll give it a couple of seconds so that it will load. There you go. Oh, it was already that. I thought I opened up the portal. So they changed also the top bar. Okay.
Yeah, they changed
because that was different.
They changed that recently, where in the past, if you went to shell.azure.com, as you've shown, that only went to a dedicated shell. They now changed that URL to actually open the shell in a portal window, but the shell is just maximized. And if you were to minimize your shell, you're actually still in the portal.
Okay, hence I didn't know that actually. See, learned something else today. The cool thing about it is that it will also give you a choice once you start to log in to the directory that you want to attach to. So if it's the first time that you log in, you will also get a choice of the directory, the tenant that you want to log into, because that's also very important for your logging in. So that stays the same. You have the same functionality. You will have the same features. Now, there's a couple of other things where you can find the Cloud Shell without that you actually know that there's Cloud Shell integrated. One of the cooler things that we have is, and I'm going to go with the most unknown feature of them all, is that we have an integration into Microsoft Docs. So if you're doing like if you want to test some commands or you want to see what it will happen, there's actually in Microsoft Docs a tight integration inside of all the different scripting examples that we have. So if you take a look at, like, for instance, I have here the overview of the Azure Cloud Shell. makes sense that I opened that one, but could be any page that has commands in there. You actually see the Azure CLI or the Azure Powershell commands that you have. Instead of opening up a shell inside of the browser, you can just do try it. Yep. What it will do a side-by-side opening. It will ask you to sign in with your Azure account. And I hope I have my cell phone here. So it will open up a browser login token. It will log into that, and there we go. Try to sign in. While flashing. A couple of seconds.
Yeah, and while this is loading, Mike, this is really useful. I've used this a number of times where CloudShell is in the docs. It's not in all of the docs pages, but I'd say in the more recent ones, it's there. Yeah. And it is super useful to just have the commands there. You can execute them straight in the terminal. That's a fantastic integration.
You can copy paste them. You can just do the try it button again. It will move it over. It's like really, really fun if it is willing to load. Yeah. So as you can see, this is the choice that I talked about. So here I can say I want to log into my Microsoft tenant, and you will see it looks a little bit different. It will try to implement it in a more text-like way because it wants to be more lightweight, just not to overrule the doc side with too many things. Kindly integrate, and here we go. So, and I can say try it. It will normally just copy it over. I can just do copy paste. There we go. I can just go and look into my account, and I can take a look at all the different things. I can just fool around with it again, as I said. So we can do a help. You can see all the information just like you have in a normal CloudShell. So that's really, really cool. And you just can start trying away with all the different features, and you can just go over it, follow the instructions, and by your side you have the terminal, the CloudShell available with all the features that it has. So that's really, really neat. And a lot of people really don't realize it, that this is indeed a really powerful tool for learning your environments, all the different commands, and even making new scripts. So that's really, really cool because you can immediately apply it even in your production environment. Don't try this at home because we're trained professionals, we always say, but you get the idea, right? So that's the lesser known integration. I have a couple of more known integrations. Let's go for the least lesser known integration. Let's go for another tool.
What, Mike, the least lesser known?
Yeah, so we have the lesser known, which is the CloudShell inside of Docs, but we also have the integration in Visual Studio Code. Yeah. And Code was one of the first ones that actually had you need to install an extension, the Azure Tools extension. And this came with the integration inside of the terminal to open up a CloudShell. So if I just now do here, Control-Shift-P, if of course I put my focus in my window, you will actually say CloudShell. I am typing, yeah, here we go. CloudShell. And you will actually immediately get the choice to open up a PowerShell, a bash. And why are you doing this? Come on. Okay, so you can actually, I think my mouse is too sensitive for today. CloudShell, let's do that again.
You are running a preview build of Windows 11. So.
I think I'm actually playing a role and fooling around with Murphy here. So I can actually choose the bash or the PowerShell, and I can immediately also start to upload files into CloudShell, and it can be any kind of files that you have in your Visual Studio Code. So let's go just with the bash for the good understanding, and that will normally open up, or should be opening. Oh, there we go. It will give me the choice again of my tenant, log me in. And then you will see that here on the bottom, it will start requesting a new terminal. As you can see here, it had a PowerShell open, and now it has a bash in CloudShell opening. And I can just do cd cloud drive again. And as you will see, there are the same files that were there earlier. And I can just start pulling away with these things. So that's really, really neat. And I can just start running commands that I have in my editor, work around with my scripts, upload my Docker files, my Ansible files, or whatever you have, and start working around with those. So that's a really nice tight integration in Visual Studio Code. Having that with also your the integration with the Azure tooling, as I said, because it uses your token from the caching from within Visual Studio, so that way it can just immediately connect. The only thing that it doesn't know is the tenant where you want to connect, but that's logical because you can land anywhere, and then you still need to select, of course, the correct subscription to manage all these different files. And then the last one that I always find very, very cool, every single time there's an update, I'm really curious what they will change now, is of course Windows Terminal. So Windows Terminal is, and it becomes a more and more intrinsic part of our daily lives and daily jobs. In the beginning, we had to do it manually. Since version, I don't know, I think it was version 0.8, we had it natively installed. So we now have, as you can see here, a Azure Cloud Shell button with a specialized icon. You can change that, and you can even do an old implementation of that, but I can just use this one or do Control-Shift-F9. It will open up a new tab. I even changed my background specifically for this one. And you will see immediately that it also uses your cached credentials. Probably now this will crash because I only used it like a couple of days ago. So I will probably need to reassign myself and reopen a new environment. So now I can say 0 for my tenant. And it probably will say, see, a refresh token. So I need to exit it. I need to go to the, come on, process exit. Just close this and open up a new one. That should kill off a new one. So I need to log in with a new account. Let's do an N. I can then click, because that's the beauty of Terminal. I can just click on the link with the latest version. I need to copy this code. So I should just highlight this one. Do a right click, here we go, and I can just do this. Yeah. It will open up a browser window, and I need to paste that code, and we'll do the code authentication window here. So and now my device will become, yeah, I need to log in myself. I need to do the dance of the authenticator. Where is it? Come on. And that's 14. Should have been 42 though. But then again, everybody knows that answer. There we go. I'm approved. And now you're trying to sign in into Windows Terminal. Yes, of course, I want to sign in through Windows Terminal.
By the way,
so
that's a new feature of the login experience, where in the past they just asked, do you want to log into something? Now it is, do you want to log into this app? I really like that they upped the level of, I don't want to say security, but at least of visibility.
Zero trust.
Yes.
Zero trust, we call that. And indeed, we need to figure out where those requests are coming from, because if somebody is impersonating you at the same time, you will probably, just approve. So now I can just close this window, and you will see I get a choice here of all the different tenants that I belong to. So I just use tenant. I entered the number. You want to save these connections? Yeah, probably just press another button in between. Yes, I want to save these connections for future logins. Do know that this token will expire after a certain while, as I showed you. That was a good thing, because then I could show you the full login. And then here I am. So I can just start working around with my cloud drive again and start moving around files again, and all these little nifty features. And you can still fiddle around here in the settings with Cloud Shell, because then you have all the cool features of Windows Terminal next to that also. As you saw, I made a custom background. That's something that you cannot do with the Cloud Shell itself in the browser. Although you could fiddle around with the dev tools in Chrome. We all are there. But yeah, that's for me, that was one of the cooler things that they put into Windows Terminal. I mean, that's also a very underestimated tool, but everybody's starting to love it, especially with all the nice clean integrations with all the WSL parts. If you install a new one, you get all these. But there's some settings that you can set here. As you can see, you can change your icon just like any other thing. The command line is just Azure. You can fool around with the appearance, as you know, and here you can actually move around a little bit with some of the font faces. But yeah, it's Legiters is going to be kind of hard to do. Yeah, that's really the culprit. All the features that you have in in terminal, so you can just use those to adapt it to your needs. But I really do like the fact that they put it in there, and that you don't have to worry about I need to add some of that JSON inside of that config file. It's there and it just works. It's pretty neat. So yep, I think that's I think I'm done for today. I mean, I think we discussed most of the things that I want to discuss.
But I would say, Mike, that was a super nice demonstration of Cloud Shell, and I think a lot of people I know use Cloud Shell on a frequent basis, but I don't think everybody knows that it's integrated with Docs, with VS Code, with the Windows terminal, and I really liked how you showed all of that off. Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, it was a session between the both of us. Hopefully next time we will have another guest.
Yep.
And then, yeah, I think the only thing that is left for me to say is, are you going holiday this weekend? Because apparently the Americans, they're having a holiday weekend.
Yes, I am. My wife and I were taking 2 days extra off. So we have the 4th of July weekend right now with Independence Day, which is on Sunday. So everybody or most people in the US have Monday off. And we're taking Friday and Tuesday additionally. So we have like an extra long weekend. We're going to have fun.
All right. Pretty cool, and
on Friday, we are looking for a sports bar so we can watch the Belgians beat the Italians.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be fun. Not that I'm interested, but I hate soccer.
Homesickness. Like, if the Belgians are playing soccer, I want to be there to watch.
Yeah. Probably like everybody else. It was a surprise that we actually moved on into the finals. So that's no, it's not the finals yet. It's quarterfinals, right?
Quarterfinals, yes.
Quarterfinals, yeah.
After we beat Portugal.
Okay, we beat Portugal, and then I think we beat Niels too. All right, Niels, are you gonna come back? Did you just blue screen on us again? That's the second happens, and I'm feeling left alone here. Matt, help me out.
He's had connection issues, so.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, it happens. I mean, I've had some hiccups here too. Okay, I'm back now. There he is again.
Back.
Yeah, right. I saw connection issues with the streaming platform, but I'm back now. But I guess we covered our unsung hero. We had a small little talk about the other 11 unsung heroes of the Belgian national squads, but. Thanks, Mike, for covering Cloud Shell, and to all our guests, I'd say catch you again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, for those who are going on holiday, enjoy your holiday. Enjoy the heat in the west part of the world. That's you, Matt.
Yes.
And yeah, see you all in a couple of weeks. Okay, stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.